Our team has learnt the basics of drill and discipline in the Roman legion. Now it's time to fight.
You have to understand the fighting spirit of the Romans. They were entirely aggressive. Even when they were attacked themselves, they moved forward into the attack. They took the fight to the enemy. Now, they had big shields. These weren't to hide behind. These were offensive weapons. Step forward. I'm going to walk through you. Try and stop me. You take my point. And look at the armor. The Romans had the technology to cover the entire body in articulated armor. They chose not to, because with the lorica segmentata, you could run. And I don't mean backwards. Your first weapon is the pilum. This is a short-range weapon. Very heavy, deadly, brilliantly designed. A rain of these would come down on the front ranks of the enemy. And if he was unarmored, he'd be dead. If he had just a weak shield, this point would break through it, and the metal shaft would continue through and pin the man behind it. If he had a heavy shield, well, this point would stick in the wood, and this shaft was designed to bend on impact, making the shield completely useless. This wasn't a defensive weapon to hold an enemy off. It was a vicious, aggressive tool for killing. The pilum was just to soften them up. The Roman legion was a machine with 5,000 blades, and the gladius was the blade. It's unusual to be able to hold a weapon in your hand and know that this changed the world. And it's so simple. Why this weapon when the Romans had so many other choices? I'll show you. With a long sword, you need lots of room to be able to wield it effectively, which is hopeless for formation fighting. You could use a shield with it, but the shield had to be small and held in one hand. And most importantly, wielding this can be very, very tiring. Now, there is an alternative, the falcata. Now, this was used by the Greeks and the Spanish Celts. It's extremely heavy and very effective. Step forward. But in close combat, you had only one real stroke with this, the downward chop. And every time you raise it to make your attack, he'd stab you. Now, the gladius. Step forward. The Romans knew how to cut with this weapon, to clear an opponent's blade, or to attack the head, the shoulders, or the arm. But they also knew this was a complete waste of time. This weapon is designed for thrusting. Here I am, tucked in behind my shield. I can push forwards, but it's very hard to push me back in this position, and my gladius is at the level of his stomach. If I stab forwards, I'll hit him in the guts, in the testicles, or the femoral artery at the top of the thigh. There's just a chance that he may parry my incoming thrust. Then I stab upwards to the throat, the face, or the eyes. It's almost impossible to avoid at this range, because the crucial thing about this attack is speed. You use your arm like a piston. Stab, 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 stab. It's completely simple, absolutely brutal, and you will practice it repeatedly.
Romans trained for 6 months before being accepted into the legion. They had to be able to read and write to understand written orders. Aside from learning the commands, formations, drill and marching, they spent hours on weapon technique. Throwing the pilum and using wooden swords of double the standard weight to build up their strength. They practiced against each other and against a pella, a thick wooden pole as high as a man.
In close order combat, each man is given 3 feet of space. You are not bunched up. Your shields are not overlapping. You have to give the gladius room to do its work. The weapon is short, aggressive. You have to get in close. Let's see the machine in action. Ready? Advance!
You can see why some have described the advancing Roman legion as a many-toothed barracuda.
You have to know what weapons you're up against and how to defeat them. Over there is a group of warriors behind a wall of shields and spears. First thing is, you're going to do serious damage with your pilum. They're closely packed together, and they cannot raise their shields above their heads. That's your first weapon. When you make contact, this is what you do. Step forward, step forward. I want you to fix those spears with your shields. Move in. I'm in the rank behind you, and I'm going to force my way between you, push my way through, hack and chop at these spears until I get close enough. These guys don't stand a chance. Here are 2 heavy weapons used against the legion, the falx and the axe. Either of these can carve straight through your helmet. But if you just sit back and defend yourself, I will hack you to pieces. What you have to do with this is attack. So as I come in, you have to attack with your shield held high. Do it! Good! Because I have to use two hands, I'm a good target. The longsword is more difficult. I have a longer reach than you, so you have to keep driving me back. Push me onto my back foot. Do it! Don't let me have room to use this thing! That's it! Keep advancing! That's right! And remember, you can stab me 3 times for every cut I can give you.